Hello, people. I'll come at you for a second here. It's Wednesday, the 29th of May. I am bleary eyed because I just woke up. And I played a show last night, so still need to get some sleep. My band RAF played with TSOL last night, True Sounds of Liberty. Legendary punk band, been around for 40 years. This is my third time seeing them over the years, first time opening for them. We had a hell of a show last night. I really enjoyed TSOL. I've never bought their records though. For me, they were the kind of band that I enjoy the energy, but the songs they're really important to my bandmates. I'll put it like that. Ron Emery, the guitarist, and his wife Gia have been living in Sioux City for quite a while now, and they run a conservatory of music up there. So they're friends. It was good to see them last night and hang out with them, and we had a good show. So I thought I'd get on and just kind of ramble for a second about what's going on. Couched in music, of course, because that's what's going on. I want to tell you about a new record that I am on, but I don't have a copy yet. It's a little weird. This is what it's like to be on a record label. So you folks know about the Numero Group label. They put out a lot of stuff from the past, box sets, obscure artists, people who've been lost to history. Well, a few years ago, the Numero Group people came through town on tour, where they were doing a tour of the label and setting up pop-up shops to sell records, etc. And I met them when they came to Omaha and got into conversation with the owners. One thing led to another, and it turned out that one of the owners already owned a copy of one of my singles, which are hard to get. And then we got talking more, and they looked me up online and started listening, and then expressed interest in one of my songs. So I signed a licensing deal with them a couple years ago. I didn't know how it would be released. I kind of assumed, there we go, assuming, there would probably be some sort of compilation of Midwest obscure artists that it would be released on. I also assumed that I would be involved in the putting together of the release. I wasn't, and I'm rather pleased that the way that the track that they licensed from me is being used. I hope to get a copy soon. I'll put a link because it's online. There's this release that they put out called Planisphere, and what it is it's a picture disc planet, and it's an actual application, a planisphere which maps out the night sky. If you live within a certain range, 30 to 50 degree latitude, I think I understand is what it says. But I think it's a wonderful use of my song, Dream Music, along with some other tracks by other people. I'll put a link because there's a series of promos for it. If it's real, the release is connected to a astronomer, Carl Jansky, I think is his name. Anyway, the links are down there. But this is strange to have a new. I haven't had a new vinyl release for several years now, and so I'm just chomping at the bit, honestly, to get my hands on one of these. But I'm letting you know that that's out there. There's a new vinyl release with me on it, and I'm excited. Can't wait to get a copy and show it to you. Okay, I'll leave links. Haven't been playing many records still, and that's not unusual. When I discovered the vinyl community about 10 years ago, I was not playing a lot of records at the time. Kept my collection, but it rekindled, finding people with a shared love rekindled my passion, I guess you could say. I mean, it never went away. It does help to be able to share things with people, doesn't it? So, yesterday or the day before, I popped this one, hadn't played it in a while. And boy, had waited too long. Output by Wolfgang Downer, German pianist who, as it turns out, not as it turns out, but as I've learned over time, Wolfgang Downer is pretty important when it comes to the history of jazz and free jazz in Europe, and was, I think, fairly instrumental in helping Jean-Luc Ponty gain a wider audience. This is an early ECM release, a rather untypical ECM cover. ECM started off really pretty radical, actually. This album is awesome. It's somewhere between jazz rock, free blowing, and just weird. Really, really good. Eberhard Weber on bass and Fred Bracewell on drums. If it doesn't take me too long to see it and grab it, I'll show something else related, because Eberhard Weber, I love his bass playing. And just right quick, some of my favorite music. I have all these records. I like them all, but not equally. And so, where is it? I'll just show these, okay? I have so many records. Eberhard Weber's first ECM albums. Colors of Chloe. I know I have it. It's like, where is it? And this one in particular, Silent Feet, are among some of my favorite records. I pulled Eberhard Weber, but I'm not seeing it. So it's like, I probably need to do some organizing over here. But Eberhard Weber as a bass player, cellist, some gorgeous music. Fluid Russell. This is some of my favorite music, absolutely. Now, this is cool because as I pull this, Weekend, which is next to Weber in my alphabetical listing, here's the band Weekend live at Ronnie Scott's, who were an English band in the 80s, post-punk, but they were doing kind of a loungy sort of thing, almost jazzy. But I'd forgotten, Keith Tippett is on here. And I was just talking to you about Discus Music's reissue on CD of Keith Tippett's solo album, The Unlonely Rain Dancer. So how cool that by happenstance I am reminded that Keith Tippett, I have it on him on this album. I'll have to play this, it's been a while. Okay. But Eberhard Weber, fantastic. The following morning. The pastel art that is used on a lot of his album covers, or just the art that's used in general, is very descriptive and evocative of the music. I love his work. Little Movements, Eberhard Weber. What else popped out? Music Visions, Reynold Weidnar, Richard Brooks. Okay, now this is something that I bought, and it is several different composers doing, it appears, modern classical, contemporary classical pieces. And this is one that I'll have to listen to again because I do not remember what this sounds like. But when it comes to crate digging and looking for stuff, this is the sort of thing, when I've had the money, that I'm interested in. Much more interested in this than finding some obscure record by Van Halen or something. It's like, what else in the world is happening, period, completely separate from the mainstream. Been enjoying the book Jap Rock Sampler. As I read it, I am realizing that I've actually heard of quite a bit of this music already. But it's so much information over so much time. You know, you forget. Like when I say things and people correct me, it's because so much time has passed and things get mixed up. But I'm really enjoying the book. And some other music that I pulled to play was I was playing some Fred Frith and Franz Ferdinand Dropra. Fred Frith, guitarist originally from the band Henry Cow. He's just an amazing musician. The top of his head, Fred Frith, part of the Made to Measure series. If you haven't heard this stuff, I just can't recommend it enough. If you're interested in hearing what's been going on in the world besides what the mainstream shoves down your throat, check out some of this stuff. Last thing I'd like to share is regarding my general stance on my channel here, where I talk about music, but I also share with you my life and my life views. Over the years, as I have talked about dealing with people, and especially unpleasant, ignorant people, there's always this steady flow of advice from well-meaning people telling me, just ignore them, just ignore them. Folks, your advice is only partially true. When you ignore something, it festers and grows. I dare say it's why the world is so messed up as it is. It's because we have ignored and just laughed off way too much stupid behavior, okay? There comes a point when someone has to decide, well, enough is enough, and I'm going to try to address this. And this is what I'm doing here. When I speak about trolling posts or people leaving comments that just really seem ignorant, not well thought out, or just downright mean. I don't care about the meanness. I don't feel it. I see the motivation, so it just takes all the wind out of what they thought they were doing. It's, well, here comes another dumbass showing his misery. So I'm saying that my approach is part of the solution too, to not ignore, but to try and address and say something to maybe get through to somebody. Maybe the people I would like to get through to won't get it, but maybe someone else who's been victimized by stupid people, not realizing that these people that they have been allowing themselves to be hurt by are in worse shape than them, and they just need to wake up and stand up to it. That's why I say this, okay? We have one of the most selfish, self-centered, self-centered and not smart. And this person is in charge of our country. That alone tells me the nature of where we're at as a society, which is pretty bad, okay? That people are continually making excuses for why this guy is okay to be the president. But he is an example, a perfect example of what I'm saying. When you ignore and when you just look the other way and just let privilege or whatever get its way, look where we're at. And it ain't good. It ain't good. So that's the one thing I want to say. When I feel like speaking out against stupidity and ignorance, I will. Because the purpose behind it is to try and elevate. It's not helping anything to piss them off if I ignore them. That ain't helping nothing. And I do express a fair amount of irritation, concern, and anger because of the times, okay? I'm awake. These are perilous, strange times, okay? And I feel it all the time. Ignorance is not bliss. I do not want to be asleep.